There was just something inside of us saying, this is going to work. We're going to make it work. People are going to like this. We aren't crazy.
This show came about through a suggestion by David Chilton, the Wealthy Barber. I know David. I've had him on my podcast. I've interviewed him on stage. In one of our conversations, he mentioned that one of the things he got involved with early on in his career was starting a publishing company for cookbooks. As David likes to say, he doesn't even know how to make tea. But he was enchanted by these two sisters, Greta and Janet Podleski from Ottawa. Both quit their jobs to create a cookbook that had never been done before, one that combined humor with extraordinary recipes called Looneyspoons.
We wanted to write a book that was fun, that was easy to understand, with normal ingredients you buy at your local grocery store, stuff that people would actually want to make and eat.
They took the train to Waterloo and they met up with David. David had no idea what was in front of him, so he turned it over to his mom, who loved to cook. And within a week, his mom was raving about the recipes, talking about how her book club was falling in love with what they offered, and said, you have to make this book come to life. So David created a publishing company with the two of them, and off they went.
I get that feedback a lot. I hated cooking until I got your cookbook. I taught my kids how to cook from your cookbooks.
And they created 4 bestsellers. Janet and Greta went their own way, and Greta continued. She has a new bestseller, Every Salad Ever, which is wildly successful. And I think you're going to love this story with Greta.
I'm accessible, I'm casual, I'm the farthest thing from a food snob.
She's just authentic, she's human, she's funny, but she also has some extraordinary lessons on manifestation.
I think you have to be able to envision your success in order to get there. And if you can't imagine yourself being successful, you probably won't be.
Dream it, build it, and they will come.
It's very satisfying.
Mentors will come, a community will come, and instead of just dreaming and wondering what happens, you can find ways to make it happen. Hi, it's Tony Chapman. Thank you for listening to Chatter That Matters, presented by RBC. If you can, please subscribe to the podcast, and ratings and reviews, well, they're always welcome and they're always appreciated. Greta, welcome to Chatter That Matters.
Thanks. I've been looking forward to talking to you.
Well, we're going to talk about how you've become this best-selling author, that your cookbooks are coveted, millions of people have bought them. But before we get into this journey, sharing these recipes with the world, I want you to share a story about your mom, Elfrida, how important she was in your life and giving you a sense of purpose, even though you were surrounded with many older siblings.
You know, my mother, Elfrida, has been so influential in so many ways, not just in my cooking career by teaching me how to cook, but just, she was the most hardworking person you could ever meet, and she never complained about working. She was an immigrant that came during the wartime with nothing but the clothes on her back, and she really taught me and my sisters a lot about sort of the right way to live and to appreciate what you have. She cooked every day for us, all 6 girls. I'm the spoiled baby of the group. And I admired that. And I watched it even as a young child. I was curious about what she was doing. So by the time I was tall enough to see the kitchen countertop, I would put my stool or chair up there and help her to chop and slice and dice and make dinner. She cooked mostly from her head, not from recipes. She had great taste buds. She knew what to do. And I think that I inherited that cooking gene from her. And that's why I'm able to develop recipes from scratch. People always say to me, how do you just dream up a recipe? I don't get it. And to me, it just seems natural, like a natural thing to know how to do. I guess it's like some people are musically talented and some aren't. She passed away, I think it's almost 6 years ago now. And I would do anything to have her back. Even for one day, I miss her so much. I'd love to talk to her again.
Did you ever find early in that time in your life that when you were presenting food to your sisters or your dad, that smile that you got back was really formative in terms of saying, I might be the baby in this family, but I still have a role?
It's funny that you mentioned that about getting the smile from the food, because that's really a big part of it is when you cook from scratch and you feed your friends and family, it's really a symbol of love. I wish I could encourage people to cook more. A lot of people say they don't like it, but trust me, when you make a recipe and you serve people around the table and everybody smiles and says, this is so delicious, thank you, that's all the feedback you need. I remember when I was 12, making a recipe that I cut out of 17 magazine. And I wanted it to look exactly like the photo with the little garnishes and the way it was arranged on the plate. And my mom got all the ingredients. Remember, I'm like, what, in like the 5th grade or something at this time? And she encouraged me. She's like, well, you do that. And I think the person that was most impressed was my dad. He was like, this is unbelievable that you made this, because I was so young. And I remember getting that feedback and thinking, cooking is the best. Like, you can make people so happy when you do it. And, you know, I'm a lot older now and I have the 6 best-selling cookbooks, and I still think cooking is the best. And I still love cooking for people.
Now, you strike me as a free spirit, but this free spirit seemed to blow into your sister's basement after she just got married. So I don't know if the husband was wondering if the sisters came as a package, but tell me how that all evolved and how eating lasagna one day became this spark for you to set off in this wonderful journey.
My sister Janet got married. We all lived in Ottawa at the time. And for some reason, to this day, I still don't know what motivated me. I said to them, I think I should move into your basement, make a little apartment down there. I mean, I had a safe, secure, well-paying job. I wasn't in financial trouble. I wasn't making a ton of money by any means, but, you know, I was young then too. And I moved into their basement and I took over the cooking duties because they were both terrible cooks. I have always been into healthy eating, healthy cooking, had been doing it forever. So I just took over the cooking duties. We were around the dinner table one night eating my Mexican lasagna. My brother-in-law says to me, this is the best food I've ever eaten in a house. And I knew he meant like versus a restaurant meal. It was a strange compliment, but I said, it's a good thing everything I make is healthy, or you would weigh 300 pounds for the quantities you've been eating. And he looked at me kind of sarcastically, said, oh yeah, this is healthy food, as if. And I said, no, really, it is. I always pay attention to health when I'm cooking and the ingredients that I'm using, and I don't use the bad fats, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, as he was scarfing back this Mexican lasagna, if this is healthy, you should write a cookbook. That's truly sparked the idea for Looneyspoons, was maybe I should write a cookbook. And Janet, was the terrible cook at the time. In fact, her famous line is, all I know about cooking is how to bring my husband to a boil. Was into health, fitness, nutrition. She's funny. She's a good writer. And so between the two of us, like, let's do this. And we started working on it nights and weekends. We're so passionate about it, thinking that Celine Dijon chicken and Jurassic pork were hilarious ideas, that we quit our jobs on the same day. We had no money. Like, we were so broke. You have no idea. We used to get bills and not open them and put them in a drawer and close the drawer. And I remember somebody once said to us, you don't open your bills? And we're like, why would we open them if we can't pay them?
So what's the difference between people that dream? I mean, there's so many people that sit and have that idea, whether it's with their sibling, your case, your sister, or their best friend, like, we could do this together. And it never goes beyond that. If anything, it might manifest into disappointment when you look back in your life saying, we should have done it. But you were willing to take this risk. You quit your jobs. You couldn't pay your bills. You were doing garage sales to raise money. What kept you going? Like, as opposed to saying, you know, Matt, this isn't working out. Maybe we should just get back to reality.
To us, it was kind of like the Kevin Costner Field of Dreams movie. It's like, if you build it, they will come. There was just something inside of us saying, this is going to work. We're going to make it work. People are going to like this. We aren't crazy. We thought we were onto something. And we were really motivated by going to the bookstore and seeing all the other healthy cookbooks out there. Remember, we're talking about 1995 here. So everything was about low fat. Low fat was it. All the experts were saying low fat. But all the books were the same. They were a little bit dry, boring, intimidating, written by doctors and dietitians. And we wanted to write a book that was fun, that was easy to understand, with normal ingredients you buy at your local grocery store, stuff that people would actually want to make and eat, like that Mexican lasagna that sparked the whole idea. And so going to the store, even though it's intimidating to see the number of other cookbooks, there was nothing like what we envisioned. So that, combined with our if you build it, they will come, combined with taking the Globe and Mail national bestseller list, we cut it with scissors out of the paper. And because we were not very high tech, technology wasn't what it is now, we used liquid paper to white out the name at the top. And we wrote in Looneyspoons by Janet and Greta Podleski. And there we were, ahead of Chicken Soup for the Soul, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And we would stare at that every day and believe it to be true. I think you have to be able to envision your success in order to get there.
You talk about build it and they will come. Someone that came to your help or mentorship is David Chilton, the Wealthy Barber. How did that all come about? Because I think often as entrepreneurs, when we feel our backs against the wall, that's the best time to reach out versus being embarrassed to.
I don't think people should be hesitant to ask for help from people that have succeeded doing what they want to do. We were rejected by every single publisher we eventually sent our manuscript to. They're like, don't quit your day jobs. We're like, it's too late. This is never going to work. Food and humor don't go together. But instead of giving up, we just kept forging ahead and realized we needed some help. And we had heard that David Chilton had originally self-published The Wealthy Barber. We're like, hey, if he can do it, maybe we can do it. But really, we just need some advice from him. So my sister had The Wealthy Barber in our little tiny house in Ottawa and said, I'm going to call the number in the back of the book. And I said, oh, yeah, right. Like if he's going to answer the phone, you're going to talk to Dave Chilton. So she called the number and believe it or not, he picked up the phone. She talked to him for something like 45 minutes, told him we were two soon-to-be famous cookbook authors from Ottawa, Ontario, with this fabulous cookbook called Looneyspoons that was soon going to be the #1 best-selling cookbook in Canada. And I think he was just so intrigued by her confidence and craziness that he invited us to come and meet with him in Waterloo. But we had sold the car that we had at the yard sale to raise money, so we had to take the train from Ottawa to Waterloo, and we met him and explained what Looneyspoons was all about. And he left the meeting saying, you guys are so impressive, but I don't know anything about cooking. And I remember him saying, I don't even know how to cook tea. And I said, well, you don't cook tea. And he said, exactly. But he took the sample pages to his parents' house to give to his mom because she was an avid cook and cookbook collector. Can you just look at it and tell me what you think? Marjorie, his mother, called him a week later and said, David, you have to help these girls. I love this book. I've cooked several recipes. They're all amazing. I took it to the Bridge Club. All of the ladies there want a copy. They think it's going to be amazing. And he said that's the only feedback he needed and the only market testing he needed. And the three of us decided to form our own publishing company to self-publish Looneyspoons, even though Janet and I still didn't know what self-publishing was, but Dave did, and he led the way. And honestly, we just worked harder than we've ever worked in our lives to make it the success that it was. But it was because of him that we got off the ground for sure. I mean, maybe we would have eventually cracked the door open of a publisher, but I still think without him, we would have been back at those day jobs.
Take me back to those early days because you and Janet partnered, I think, on 4 books. Although you're incredibly funny as well. You both brought your own styles and then you had David. How did you work out sort of who had influence and who had authority? Because often, you start this thing together and just imagine, as you said, manifest the bestseller and everything. But the reality is there's a lot of speed bumps along the road. Not everything goes the way it should be. How did you sort of look at each other and say, this is what you do best, this is what I do best?
The cooking recipe development, food responsibility was mine. And then Janet had the nutritional knowledge and the crazy sense of humor, and she was a great writer. There was a clear division there. When it came to the business aspect of it, that's where I'd say that it was a little bit more challenging because Dave, obviously, he was the president of our publishing company. And at the beginning, he led the way. We just did literally whatever he wanted us to do to make the book a success. But as time went on, and I'm going to blame myself here, particularly me, gained more experience and kind of got the groove of it all, I would challenge him a little bit on some things. So working together wasn't always easy, but we made it work for many, many, many years. And when Dave eventually left our business, he said it was because we didn't need him anymore. He actually left being the president of our company and I took over. So as far as conflict goes, Janet and I really didn't have any because we're so bonded as sisters that even if we had a little blow up, I mean, honestly, even if we had a big blow up, within 24 hours, she's like, hey, want some licorice? We would just make up and the fight would be over and we'd forget about it because we were so focused on the goal that we wanted to achieve that literally nothing was going to get in our way.
You and Janet, after this great success, go your separate ways. And I'm just curious how that came about. And then we're going to move into Greta, the solo artist.
After the Looneyspoons collection was our fourth book, which was kind of like all the greatest hits from the first three plus 100 new recipes. That is a huge book. There really wasn't a fifth book in that style, with the jokes and the puns and the kind of sense of humor in it that was like plays on words and all the nutritional little tidbits. I think that was kind of the closing chapter. And Janet had some other passions in the background that she wanted to pursue. And so I encouraged her to do that. But I still loved books, cooking, recipes. The creative process is what I love the most. The business side of it, I do because I have to. It's the creative process that motivates me. I love dreaming up what a book can be because it's like all these blank white pages and you get to determine exactly what goes on every page. So I decided to branch out on my own with my new publishing company. And then I wrote the book called Yum and Yummer, which I was a nervous wreck about launching because it was my first book without Janet and I didn't want to disappoint people. It won an award. It's done really well. I say it has a different flavor. It's a different personality, a different style. It still has funny bits in it. I'm really proud of that book.
When we return, Greta and I dive into the simple ingredients to her success, the digital dangers that come with it, and what's next for this emotionally charged chef. Hi, it's Tony Chapman, host of the podcast Chatter That Matters, and I'm here to give a big shout out to a long-standing partner of RBC, Women of Influence Plus. This is an organization that isn't here to change the narrative, it is here to rewrite it, to create a more inclusive tomorrow. And one of their biggest initiatives is the RBC Canadian Women Entrepreneur Awards. For over 3 decades, they've recognized and celebrated the strides of Canada's most accomplished, influential, and impactful women. It is the leading women's awards program in the nation, working to elevate their important contributions from economic growth to social change across sectors, across industries, and across Canada. Women of Influence Plus and the RBC Canadian Women Entrepreneur Awards, well, that matters to you, to me, and to RBC.
People shouldn't be insulted when someone gives them a cookbook as a gift. It doesn't mean, happy birthday, you can't cook, so here's a book. Cookbooks are for you to get fired up again about cooking, to give you some new ideas, to at least try it.
My guest today is Greta Podleski. She's a best-selling author of cookbooks. Wildly successful. But what you'll hear in this show is also a recipe for anybody who's looking to dream and do. The chord you play from your early days to now as a solo artist, though, is where I think is a consistent chord is this relationship you have with the reader. And I think digital world has only made it easier for you, but it's almost like you're in the kitchen with somebody that's bought your book. Was that intentional? Is that just your personality? Or was that you, the young girl with your mom, that you've now manifested in terms of the relationships you have out there? Because you're not just somebody that's authoring a cookbook. You're inspiring, you're motivating, you're encouraging, you're saying it's okay to make mistakes and get messy.
I think that's one of the reasons why my newer books have done so well, to be honest, is because people ask me that question. How do you sell so many books? The publishers ask me that. I think they think my numbers are fake because they can't believe it. It's my relationship with people that buy the book. I'm accessible. I'm casual. I'm the farthest thing from a food snob. I answer questions. They email me. I don't have whole wheat flour. What should I do? I reply. They comment on Facebook and Instagram. I reply. It's always me. I don't have staff. They see me in interviews and go, she seems really normal. I'm not, by the way. I love that people feel like I'm their friend. They feel like I'm their next door neighbor, that they can come over and talk to me. With Yum and Yummer, being so afraid to launch it without Janet and without that same style, I added a visual element to it that had never been done before in the cookbook world, and that is video, scannable QR codes on every page that link to a video of how to make the recipe, 60 seconds. And to me, it was more about getting people to cook, right? It's like you see those hands, you see the way things are chopped, you see the bowls, you know how to do it. A lot of moms have said to me, my kids learned to cook from that book because everything's so visual now, right? And kids are on their phone and iPads and they can see all the steps. And I was really glad that element of Yum and Yummer went over so well. Even better than that, I think, in my newest cookbook, the salad cookbook, I decided to use my own voice because people said to me, does every salad ever have those videos you had in Yum and Yummer? And I said, no, it has me. And I put the QR codes back in there, but they link to almost like a mini podcast. It's like 90 seconds long and it's me talking. And I'm talking to you about the recipe. I'm giving you a background story maybe. I'm giving you ingredient substitutions, tips. I might tell a stupid story, which I'm known to do. So it's almost like I am in the kitchen with you. Really, Tony, the sales are all about connecting with people. And that's how you sell books.
Let's build on that because it's a great lesson in life is an abundance of choice. Within arm's reach of desire, I could go to YouTube and find more recipes than I could cook in my entire life. But you're still finding a way to put a hardcover book, and thank you for printing it in Canada and not China, and putting it in the hands of people, seeing these incredible sales. There's so many other people that are struggling to be heard with their content, not necessarily a book, but just their content, whether I'm a songwriter or I'm a filmmaker. And you're finding a way to not only be heard, but to deliver these incredible results.
The buyer I deal with, who is probably the best relationship I've ever had with any retailer in 30 years, because I said to her, we should be so proud of this, what we've accomplished. I always say we. And she said, no, you should. It's you. And she said, it's the way you connect with your followers. It's the way you've connected with the people at our head office who are all cheering for you. It's the relationships that you've formed over 29 years with people that is leading to this success. And I think it's because I'm always communicating with people and I work so hard. You wouldn't believe how many people said to me, you must be so glad your new cookbook's done so you can just hand it over. I'm like, hand it over to who? Who am I handing it over to? I am the publisher. I've always been the publisher. Writing the book is the first part. Selling the book is the second part. I just do it all myself. And I think that people see that and they realize it and they feel it. And so when people open my book, whether they already bought it and it's at home or it's at one of the Indigo stores, it's a vibe that they get. It's the energy of the book. Kind of sounds woo-woo, but people are drawn to it. And what's happening now is people get it home and look at it. I want 2 more. I want 3 more. I want this for my sister. I want one for my aunt. Like Mother's Day was like a blowout at Indigo. They were selling out left and right because people were like, I want my mom to have this. The authenticness. I'm an authentic person. I'm never fake. Sometimes I think I'm too honest in my real life because I tell it like it is, but I think that's a good quality to have.
So speaking of fake, you just were scammed on Amazon. And I think it's important to share this because this is the world we live in, that success doesn't just breed success, it also breeds criminal activity.
The expression is that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery until it isn't, and someone tries to take advantage of your hard work. So I was alerted to the fact that there was a book being sold on Amazon with my title and my name on it, but it wasn't my book. Sadly, people were duped into buying it. It was just an AI-generated thing with black and white pages with no photos. This fake book actually rose to number 60 overall on Amazon, which when you think about them selling millions of titles, that's pretty impressive. But people got scammed by that. And then people started posting negative reviews about it. A lot of them saying, not Greta's book, this is fake, this is fraud, imitation, don't buy. But the occasional person saying things like, I'll give you an example, one that like truly broke my heart. Saw her on the social, cooking her recipes. I thought this book looked like it would be full of good stuff, and I ordered it and so disappointed. It's like not even any pictures. There's no way this is the bestseller. And they posted that. What upset me is that even after they received the book, they didn't realize it was a scam book. This is somebody that obviously doesn't know me from the past because they would have known right away that it's nothing that I would create. So I lodged a formal complaint with Amazon. I didn't get any response from that, unfortunately. Eventually talked to a customer service rep who just took notes and said she would try to put it to the right department. I talked to the news media about it. I think that really helped, to be honest with you. But mostly I posted about the scam on my Facebook page to warn people, and they took action. Like they were going to that site They were lodging complaints. They were posting reviews saying this has to be taken down. It was like an army of people just started attacking this fake post on Amazon. It's finally down, as well as the other books from the same sort of scam company person.
What happens to all the profit that Amazon makes selling that fake book?
They make profit from it, and the scammers made profit from it. I don't know how much. I don't know how many copies they sold. They'll never tell me. I'll never find out. I'll never find out who did it. I mean, I suppose I could seek legal action. It's really not my style. My goal there was to stop people from getting scammed. It really wasn't to make the profits from those sales, but they shouldn't have the profits, that's for sure. If they would donate those profits, I would be happy to pick a charity that they could donate those profits to. I don't need it. I just want people to stop being scammed. But it just goes to show you that there's a lot of fraud out there. And now that we have AI, it's going to get even worse. And when you're shopping online, you got to make sure things are legit. You can see how it would happen. Add to cart. My friend told me to buy that book. Add to cart, check out. They didn't read the description. They didn't read the reviews. So that's how it happened. I always say to people, you don't want to be scammed on a fake book, buy it at a bookstore.
Great lesson in life. You talk about you're constantly thinking of recipes. Every salad ever is obviously needs your love and your attention, but how do you stay focused on the present, which is a runaway bestseller? Let's describe it once again as a wild results. And you must also be thinking about what's next.
How about a vacation? Last year, I know this is going to seem impossible, but I wrote that book really in record time. Most cookbook authors take 2 to 3 years to put together a book, and I did Every Salad Ever in 10 months. How did I do it? I had 2 days off last year, and I'm not making that up. One was for a wedding, and the other one, I think, was to cry so that I wouldn't, to prevent myself from having a nervous breakdown. I stayed in bed all day. So I would like a vacation. Also, being the publisher, I'm working really hard right now, and I'm also doing a lot of traveling, book promotions, television shows, media interviews. So my first goal would be to have a break. People are already starting to ask me to start working on another book. I'm like, people, I just did one. I'm only one human. I can't do it all, right? So they're like, but you need to do a soup book because soup goes with salad. Would it be called Ladle Gaga? Because that would be a good name. Everything with a ladle. So it would be soup, chili, stew. And then I said, Greta, stop it.
I'm just going to call BS on you. You're already manifesting the next book. You probably are imagining the cover of the book. Here's the interesting thing. I always end my interviews with my 3 takeaways. There's really one takeaway that you've expressed in so many different ways. And I think it began with Elfrida taking that young girl. And that is the sense of build it and they will come. And this sense of manifestation. And it began with you as a young girl and then finding your way into your sister's basement when she just got married, cutting out you're going to be a bestseller, which I think is such a great, important piece of advice for people is that put that ultimate goal out, that desired outcome. Because even if you don't get there, you're going to go a lot further if instead of having modest expectations. The sense of mentorship and inviting people into your energy, but more importantly, your energy and how you find a way to invite yourself into not only the readers' homes and kitchens, but what I thought was magical advice is even my buyer at Indigo. The people at head office are cheering for me because they know you're authentic, you care, and you're committed. And I think that's just such important advice for entrepreneurs is build it, they will come. Put out that goal, make it audacious, make it magical. Find people to help you get there. Take the day off and cry when things get overpowered, but come back. And at the end of it, just make sure that you don't surrender it, but you're part of a community. You're just a phenomenal entrepreneur. I'm so happy that Chilton said, bring her on, and I can understand why.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I would just say to people, the experts aren't always right. Trust your gut in work and in life. And also, don't be afraid to ask for help. And finally, I would say just be nice.
Once again, a special thanks to RBC for supporting Chatter That Matters. It's Tony Chapman. Thanks for listening, and let's chat soon.